Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna change the AC compressor on my Santa Fe 2013, and before to start the job you should get a set of a manifold gauge like this. You just have to connect the blue hose right there on the low part, and you can also plug the red one to the high part, and you really want to make sure there's no pressure on your stem, because it's illegal to let the freon goes in the atmosphere. So if your system is full, you can always ask to your mechanics to empty the system for you. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove the belt on this system, because the compressor is at the lower part of the engine. So we have to remove the belt to release the compressor. We have two hoses to disconnect on the compressor, the low pressure hose and the high pressure hose, and we're gonna have to remove 4 bolts. And you're also gonna need to remove this electric connector. You just have to press and release it just like this. And this part right there, this is the valve to engage your AC system. This is a kind of a solenoid that makes or not kick the clutch inside of the compressor. So this is a used one. I pay $100. The warranty is 1 year, so I hope this one is good, because those days everything costs a lot, and a new compressor costs around $500. So I will give a shot to a used one. So first thing first, we're gonna need a 17mm wrench to disengage the tensioner of the pulley. I'm sorry, because this video is not gonna be the more clear, because it's really hard to film on those parts of the engine, but I will try to show you the best I can how I remove that compressor. Okay, so now I'm sorry, but because this is really hard to film, but what I done, I take a 17mm wrench and I put my wrench on this pulley right there where I'm flashing with my flashlight, and I take another wrench, and as you see, I make this old tricks. This is a 22mm, so that setup holds for me the tensioner. So now the strap is loose, so I'm gonna be able to just release the strap under the car on the AC compressor. So it's gonna make me the job much more easier, because I'm alone, nobody have to hold for me the tensioner to release the belt. So I already removed the under plastic. You have a couple of 10mm to remove. And now, as you see, this is the compressor, and because I put the wrench on the tensioner, I just have to remove the strap just like this. I don't have to remove the entire strap. You just have to make like me, just pop off the strap, and now you are free. And you're gonna see just right there, this is the high pressure line, and just right there, this is the low pressure. So this is the high and this is the low pressure. So you have to remove those 2 bolts, and be careful, because if you got some freon inside of the stem and you got this freon inside of your eyes, you can be blind. So be careful with that. You can put some glasses to make sure. So we have to remove those 2 lines. Okay, so now if you look just right there, this is the bolt for the low pressure side, and to remove this one you really need this kind of wrench, ratchet wrench, because the end is swivel, and I'm sorry if you cannot see, but you can wrench with this one. So I'm gonna place the key and show you how. And now you see, just like this, I'm gonna be able to wrench carefully. And those bolts are not really tight, because you don't want to over tight the seal. So with this kind of key, a 10mm, is gonna be much more easier. And you have to remove the bigger one before to remove the high pressure. That is just this one right there, the high pressure side, and it's also a 10mm. So with this wrench, it's gonna be very easier. Okay, so now I've been able under 5 minutes to remove the low pressure side, you can tap gently with a flat screwdriver if it won't come out. And by the way, this is gonna be much more easier to remove the hose than place the hose back in the compressor, because this is a really tight fit. So if something goes wrong when you're gonna reinsert the pipe, don't panic, this is normal. You just have to take your time, because you have to get the perfect correct angle to put back the hose inside of the compressor. So don't panic if it goes tight, you will be all right. And now it's the time to remove the high pressure side, and because we removed the low pressure side before, it's gonna be much more easier. And now it's gonna be the time to remove this connector right there. You just have to press up to release it. Just like this. And now with a regular ratchet and a 12mm, you're gonna remove those 4 bolts. So this is the compressor, the new compressor that I'm gonna install. And as you see right there, there's a sleeve. So this is normal that it don't fall, because this is inside of the bracket. So you may use a little pry bar like this one to pry out the compressor. Okay, just like this. And now we got a nice access to the alternator, and I set the 2 holes right there, so I got plenty of room to fix that. Okay, so now before to install your AC compressor, this step is really important. You see right there, this is a 12mm. This is the drain plug for the oil of the AC compressor. So you really want to check out if there's, as you see, there's no seal at all on this oil plug, because this one is used. So I think they already flushed the oil inside of it. We're gonna see it, but be careful, because there's no crash washer around it. So I'm gonna make sure to put a new one. And after that, you can take a cup. As you see, this one is really empty. Where I buy the compressor, they remove the oil inside of it. So always make sure to put back new oil in it. In this case, I'm gonna use PAG oil. You can find those oil everywhere. Amazon sold those kind of oil, and you can buy the oil with dye inside of it. So the next time you're gonna have some leakage, you're gonna be able to see with this kind of set. This is a UV light and a yellow glasses, so you're gonna be able to see phosphorescent. As you see, it's really easy to see with that when you got a leak. So I really recommend you to put some UV dye oil inside of it. And to full back this compressor, you will need 4 ounces of PAG oil, or 120 milliliter. So I'm gonna put back the drain plug, and I'm gonna full the compressor. I'm gonna put an AC seal like this one with the little crash washer, because you always want to be careful with that, because if I just put back this bolt without the seal, you're gonna have a leak. So always make sure that this drain plug got a seal. I buy this green o-ring kit. I'm gonna put a new one around it, just like this, and make sure that you got some PAG oil around it, because dry seal won't seal correctly. You always want to be sure that you got your seal wet. Okay, so now I'm ready to put back the drain plug in place. So the order for that is the crush washer and the seal, the green seal. Just like this. And you want to torque this bolt to 8 foot-pound, somewhere around that. But to be honest, just don't over tight it. A compressor is like an engine. You have an intake and an output, so an exhaust, like an engine. So the intake is always the lower side, so because you're gonna compress the lower pressure side into a high pressure. So the big hole right there, this is where you want to add your oil. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take a funnel like this and you're gonna push slightly the plastic tab, and now you can take your oil and fill with the 4 ounces of oil. So once that your compressor is full, this is nice because this little plastic door won't let the oil to drop. Okay, so guys, I opened the compressor just to show you how it's done inside of it. So you got 7 cylinder and 7 piston like this. They move up and down, and this is why you want to be to have the correct amount of oil inside of it, because this is metal on metal. Sorry by the way for my English. And what it does, so when the car run and you don't ask for AC, this disc spin freely in this X. Okay, but when you make kick the compressor, so you ask inside of the cabin that you want AC, this coil, the coil inside of the compressor will make move this part like this. So it goes in angle, and you in this kind of compressor, you can adjust how much angle you want. So a little bit, a lot, a lot, a lot. So what it does, it push on the each cylinder. So I'm gonna try to show you, but because it turn in angle, each cylinder is gonna compress. This one is gonna be down and this one's gonna be up. So it's gonna move up and down just like this and start to compress the Freon into an high pressure gas. So this is basically just an engine. This is a 7 piston engine. So this is really, really nice to see inside of it. So I don't recommend you to open yours because there's a lot of little bearing like that. This is really hard to do, to put it back. I don't know how they do, but you have to put the bearing in place just like this and try to make it not fall. So this is not easy. So sometime what happens, those bearing fails because of a lack of oil and a lot of moisture inside of it. So you understand now why it's crucial to not have moisture inside of the stand, because all those bearing have to roll each other very smoothly. Now I'm gonna put back the compressor in place. This is really easy. And now I'm gonna start every bolt by hand. And this is really important that the compressor sit correctly on the mount, because it can play on the alignment of your pulley, and your strap, your belt, sorry, can squeak if your compressor is not correctly tight. And don't go crazy, because this is aluminum, so you don't want to strip the bolt. You want to plug back the AC compressor just like this. You want to hear the click, and now we are ready to put back the hose in place, and we're gonna put back those hose like we remove it. So first we're gonna put back the high pressure line, and don't worry, like I said before, if it goes tight, because it's normal. This is a really tight fit, and you want to change those seal right there. Take the seal on the kit that I showed you before and make sure that you wet the seal with PAG oil. I'm not gonna film this part because the access is very limited, but you have to put back this one first, and you're gonna tight the seal with the bolt, and don't go crazy on the torque of it. You should torque it around 10 foot-pound, not that much. So don't be gentle with the torque of those bolts. And after that, we're gonna put back the low pressure side. So I think this one is the hardest to put it back, because you really want to be square when you're gonna put it back, but take your time and don't stress with that. You're gonna be able to do it. The low pressure side is tight, it won't move. The hose sit correctly on the compressor. It's the same for the high pressure side. You have 10 millimeters to put back. I put back the belt. Like you see, this is really easy to put it back, so this is not a big deal. The 4 bolts are tight, and you also have the electric connection back in. So now the compressor is done. To be honest, if it's gonna be your first experience, you can plan 1 to 2 hours to do the complete job, but this is really easy. You got a great access. I put the car on the ramps to get enough space, and you have to remove this undercover engine, and you are ready to go. So this is easy as that to change. But the most important part is to make sure that you got enough oil inside of the system. Okay, and now you can remove the set of key that you place just like this to disengage the tensioner and release the belt on the compressor, and this is ready to go. So now that the compressor is in the car, this part is optional, but you can just take the car and go to your local mechanic. They're gonna make sure that there's no moisture at all in the system, because they're gonna do like I do, but with a more sophisticated machine for that. But you can do this job all by yourself at home, but you have to buy some tool. Like I said before, you need a set of manifold gauges. So I put the low pressure side on this one and the high pressure side on this one. Make sure that the both valves are closed on each side, sorry. So if you open this valve, you're gonna let the air flow to the yellow to the blue, and it's the same for the red one. If you open the valve, you can let the yellow goes to the red. So both valves are closed, and this pump is a vacuum pump. The old kit cost around $150 or $200, something like that. You can find those set on Amazon. This one, this is a stage 1 pump. I think this is a 3 CFM. So now you're gonna let run this pump for at least 30 minutes to make sure that you remove all the moisture, because when you are on vacuum, the water boils at a lower temperature. So this is why when you are on vacuum, the moisture get evaporated with this pump, because it boils at a really low temperature, and this is why you're gonna have no moisture inside of the system. And this pump can also indicate you if you have a leak, because if you're not able to create a vacuum inside of the system, this is because you got a leak somewhere and you let air pass through a seal or the AC condenser. By the way, go check on my channel, because I got a lot of stuff about this car. And by the way, when you change the compressor, if you want your guarantee to be respected, you always want to call a new expansion valve. This is really easy to change. Sorry, by the way, for my English, because my first language is French, but I try to do my best to be well understand. And by the way, I also changed a couple of hose and the AC condenser at the front. So now what you have to do is just to start the pump and let the magic do. So let it run for at least 30 minutes, and now you can open the both side. As you see, it starts to pull on vacuum, and you want to reach somewhere around 30 inch of mercury of vacuum. So as you see, it goes very well. If it won't goes like this, this is because you got a leak somewhere. So make sure that your seal or everything is sealed correctly, just like this. So I'm gonna let run this pump for 30 minutes. And by the way, be careful, because sometimes those pumps can be really hot, and you always make sure to have the right amount of oil inside of it. This is a window to check the level of the oil inside of the pump, because when it came new, there is no oil inside of it. You have to manually add it by yourself. Okay, so after a good 30 minutes, I stopped the pump and it still hold my vacuum, so I'm happy with it. I know that my system is sealed. And now you have two options. You can do it by yourself, but to be honest, this is always tricky to get the right perfect amount of freon inside of the system, because the system really needs to get the right amount of freon, because if you got too much freon, you're gonna overload your pump and you're gonna make it run too hot, and you're gonna destroy everything. And if you don't have enough freon, you're not gonna have cool enough. So this car, I think it needs a 21 ounce of freon. You can always take those kind of can. This is a replacement for the R124A freon, but to be honest, this is not the best. Okay, I will recommend you to go on your mechanic, because this is really cheap to make full the car. It costs somewhere around 120, 150 bucks to get the right charge, because they're gonna measure perfectly for you the right amount of freon you need, and you won't have any problem after that, because this is really tricky. Because if you put too much, the condenser inside of the car can go too much cold, and you can get some problem, because the ACU gonna cut the fan because it's too cold and things like that. So you really want to be sure that you got the right amount of freon. This can equivalent to 17 ounce, so you should put an entire can, and for the next part you need 4 ounce more, so you're gonna put a little bit of another can. But this is where it comes to be tricky, because you can always try to measure with the weight, but it's not that so easy, to be honest. I try it, but it's not that easy. You are not always sure if you got the right amount, to be honest. So for this job, I'm gonna pay to full the system with freon, and this is not exactly the same kind of, this is compatible, but this is not exactly the same type of refrigerant. So you really want to make sure to go to your mechanic if you don't want to have some trouble. So thanks for watching, and please consider to like and subscribe.